There are few objects in human life that are as familiar as the bed. We see it every day, and yet we rarely think about it. It waits for us at the end of the day, quietly occupying the same place, asking nothing from us. We may change its sheets, move its pillows, make it in the morning, and leave it untouched for hours. But eventually, almost every human being returns to it. The bed is one of the oldest companions of humanity. Long before mattresses, wooden frames, blankets, and pillows, human beings needed somewhere to rest. Perhaps it was a patch of grass. Perhaps it was a pile of leaves. Perhaps it was an animal hide spread across the ground. The materials changed, the shape changed, the technology changed, but the purpose remained remarkably constant. To sleep is to surrender control. Every night we perform one of the strangest acts that the human body can perform. We close our eyes, become unconscious, and trust that the world will still be there when we return. The bed makes this surrender possible. It creates a small boundary between the sleeping human being and the rest of existence. Outside the bed, the world continues. Cars move through streets. People continue working. Lights remain illuminated. Machines continue running. Somewhere, someone is awake. But beneath the blanket, none of that matters. For a few hours, the world can wait. Perhaps this is why the bed has always been associated with safety. A bed is not merely a place to lie down. It is a place where we allow ourselves to become vulnerable. When we sleep, we cannot properly defend ourselves. We cannot respond to everything around us. We cannot remain constantly alert. And yet, we do it every night. We lie down, we close our eyes, and we trust. The history of the bed is therefore also a history of human beings becoming increasingly capable of creating safe spaces. Early humans may have slept on the ground, but eventually they began raising sleeping surfaces above it. Archaeological discoveries have revealed ancient sleeping platforms and raised beds, designed in part to provide separation from cold surfaces, insects, moisture, and other dangers. The idea was simple. If the ground is uncomfortable or unsafe, lift yourself above it, and so the bed became more than a place to sleep. It became a structure, a small piece of architecture designed specifically for the human body. Over time, beds became increasingly elaborate. Some were simple wooden frames, others were covered with fabrics and curtains. Some belonged to ordinary people. Others became enormous symbols of wealth. Kings slept in enormous beds. Queens slept in enormous beds. Nobles surrounded themselves with curtains, carved wood, embroidered fabrics, and expensive mattresses. The bed became a symbol of status. And yet, regardless of how expensive it became, its fundamental purpose never changed. Eventually, the person still had to lie down. Eventually, the eyes still had to close. Eventually, sleep came. There is something humbling about that. A person may spend the entire day being important. They may command employees, they may run businesses, they may make decisions that affect thousands of people. But eventually, they must become tired. And when they become tired, they need somewhere to lie down. The bed does not care about status. It accepts the king and the worker in exactly the same way. The body becomes horizontal, the eyes close, and the day ends. Perhaps that is one of the most democratic things about sleep. No matter who we are, we eventually become tired. The bed also has a strange relationship with time. A chair is usually associated with being awake. A desk is associated with work. A kitchen is associated with food. But the bed is associated with the passage of time itself. We spend years in beds, thousands of nights, thousands of hours, perhaps tens of thousands. A significant portion of a human life is spent lying down, doing almost nothing. And yet, this nothing is essential. The body repairs itself. The brain processes information. Memories are reorganized. The muscles rest. The heart continues beating. The lungs continue breathing. While we believe that we are doing nothing, an enormous amount is happening inside us. The bed therefore becomes the place where nothing appears to happen while everything continues happening. There is something almost paradoxical about that. We go to bed because we want the day to stop. But the body does not stop. It continues working. It continues maintaining us. It continues preparing us for another morning. And eventually, we wake. Sometimes we wake refreshed. Sometimes we wake exhausted. Sometimes we wake from a dream that disappears within seconds. Sometimes we wake with a memory that feels more real than the world around us. Dreams are perhaps the strangest things that happen in bed. Every night, the human mind creates worlds, places we have never seen, people we have never met, conversations that never happened, memories that never existed, and sometimes the mind creates something so convincing that we believe it completely. For a few moments after waking, we may still be somewhere else. We may still hear a voice. We may still remember a face. We may still feel an emotion. And then the room returns. The ceiling, the walls, the blanket, the bed, the dream disappears. And we are here again. Perhaps this is why the bed has always had such an intimate relationship with imagination. It is the place where reality becomes temporarily negotiable. The bed is also where many of the most important moments of human life occur: birth, illness, love, recovery, aging, and eventually, death. People are born in beds. People become sick in beds. People spend their final days in beds. The same object that receives us at the end of an ordinary day may eventually receive us at the end of our lives. That is a strange thought. The bed does not change. The person does. One night, a child sleeps beneath its blanket. Years later, that same child may become an adult. Years after that, perhaps old age arrives. The bed remains. The person changes. And perhaps this is why beds can become so emotionally significant. A bed can belong to a person for decades. It can remain in the same room through childhood and adulthood. It can survive relationships. It can survive renovations. It can survive moves. It can become associated with a particular home, a particular period of life, a particular person. Sometimes simply lying down in an old bed can bring back memories. The texture of the blanket, the smell of the room, the sound of the mattress, the way the light enters through the window in the morning. The bed becomes part of the memory. And perhaps we do not realize how much of our lives are attached to ordinary objects until we see them again years later. A bed in an empty childhood bedroom can feel almost like a time machine. Nothing about it may have changed, and yet everything has changed. The person who once slept there is no longer the same person. Perhaps they have moved away. Perhaps they have grown older. Perhaps they have become someone their younger self would never have imagined, and the bed simply remains. Waiting. There is another peculiar thing about beds. They are often the place where we think too much. During the day, there are distractions: work, people, traffic, noise, messages, responsibilities. But at night, the world becomes quiet. You lie down, the lights go out, and suddenly your own thoughts become much louder. You remember something you said years ago. You think about something you should have said. You imagine what might happen tomorrow. You worry about the future. You revisit the past. You create conversations that will never happen. You solve problems that may not exist. You stare into the darkness. And sometimes the bed becomes less a place of sleep and more a place of thought. Perhaps this is why some of humanity's greatest ideas have appeared late at night. When the world becomes quiet, the mind becomes difficult to escape, and the bed provides no distractions. It simply holds you there. Sometimes that is comforting, sometimes it is not. There are nights when sleep comes easily. You close your eyes and the world disappears. There are other nights when the minutes seem endless. You turn to one side, then the other, You adjust the pillow, you pull the blanket higher, you look at the clock, you close your eyes again, and still, sleep refuses to arrive. The bed remains beneath you, patient, unchanging. It cannot make you sleep. It can only provide the place in which sleep may happen. Perhaps that is another lesson hidden within ordinary objects. We often confuse the environment with the thing itself. The bed cannot give us rest. It can only give us a place to rest. The rest must come from somewhere else, from the body, from the mind, from time, from surrender. Eventually, if we are fortunate, the struggle ends. The thoughts become quieter, the body becomes heavier, the room becomes distant, and somewhere between consciousness and unconsciousness, we disappear. The bed remains. There is something almost beautiful about that moment. The final thought of the day, the last movement, the closing of the eyes, the surrender, and then nothing. No responsibilities, no decisions, no expectations. For a few hours, you are simply a human being lying in a bed. Perhaps this is why we should appreciate the bed more than we do. We often think of rest as something unproductive. We feel guilty for sleeping. We feel guilty for lying down. We believe we should be doing something, working, learning, creating, moving, achieving. But the bed reminds us that there is a limit to what a human being can do. Eventually, the body asks for rest. And when it does, we have to listen. The bed is not an obstacle to productivity. It is one of the conditions that make productivity possible. Without rest, the mind becomes slower, the body becomes weaker, memory becomes unreliable, attention disappears, and eventually, the person who refuses to rest becomes incapable of doing the very things they were trying to accomplish. The bed waits for us, not because it is demanding, but because it understands something we often forget. We cannot remain awake forever. There is also something strangely equal about the bed. Almost every human being who has ever lived has known the experience of lying down at the end of a day. The materials have changed, the rooms have changed, the cultures have changed, but the basic experience remains. A human body becomes tired. It seeks a horizontal surface, the eyes close, and the world becomes distant. Thousands of years separate us from the people who slept beneath animal skins beside ancient fires, and yet if we could somehow lie beside them for a moment, we might recognize the feeling, the warmth, the tiredness, the desire for safety, the desire to close our eyes, the desire to wake again in the morning. Perhaps the bed is one of the places where modern humanity is closest to its ancient ancestors. Technology has transformed almost everything around us, but sleep remains. We still become unconscious, we still dream, we still wake, and we still need somewhere to lie down. One day, of course, there will be a final night. We will not know that it is the final night. We will perform the same ritual we have performed thousands of times. We will lie down. We will pull the blanket over ourselves. Perhaps we will turn off the light. Perhaps we will say goodnight to someone. Perhaps we will think about tomorrow, and then we will close our eyes. But tomorrow will not come. The bed will remain. Someone else may sleep in it, or perhaps the room will remain empty. The sheets may eventually be changed. The bed may eventually be moved. Perhaps it will be thrown away. Perhaps it will remain for decades, but the person who once slept there will be gone. And once again, the ordinary object will outlive the extraordinary life that surrounded it. The bed will remember nothing, and yet it will have been there for the childhood nightmares, for the lazy mornings, for the nights spent awake, for the dreams, for the illnesses, for the conversations whispered in the dark, for the moments when the world felt unbearable and the only thing you could do was lie down, for the mornings when you did not want to leave it, for the evenings when you were grateful to return. The bed witnessed none of these things in the way that a human witness would. It has no eyes, it has no memory, It has no consciousness, and yet it accompanied us through them. Perhaps that is what makes ordinary objects so strange. They do not love us. They do not understand us. They do not remember us. But they are there, quietly present through enormous portions of our lives. The bed is there when we are children. It is there when we become adults. It is there when we fall in love. It is there when we lose someone. It is there when we become sick. It is there when we recover. It is there when we are happy. It is there when we are miserable. And every night, regardless of what happened during the day, it offers the same thing: a place to lie down, a place to close our eyes, a place to stop. Perhaps that is enough. Perhaps we do not need the bed to mean anything more than that. It does not need to be profound. It does not need to be beautiful. It does not need to teach us anything. It simply needs to hold us. And perhaps in a world that constantly asks us to move, to work, to achieve, to respond, and to continue, there is something quietly valuable about an object whose entire purpose is to tell us that we may stop. So tonight, when you return to your bed, perhaps notice it. Notice the mattress beneath you. Notice the pillow. Notice the blanket. Notice the quiet room around you. Think about how many nights you have spent there, how many mornings, how many dreams, how many thoughts, how many versions of yourself have occupied that same space. And then perhaps allow yourself to do the one thing the bed was made for. Nothing. Close your eyes. Let the world continue without you for a while. The cars will continue moving. The lights will remain on. People will continue talking. Machines will continue working. The world will still be there in the morning. For now, you may rest. The bed will remain beneath you, quietly waiting as it has always done.